Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. We're here at the Hebrew Institute of White Plains for a community event with Sacred Spaces to learn more about the Safeguarding Children initiative. Let's take a closer look. Your organization is protecting children across North America. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So Sacred Spaces is putting systems in place in Jewish institutions to help prevent and respond to abuses of power. So that could be against any age group. And what we're talking about here tonight is the launch of the Safeguarding Children campaign, which will be about helping youth-serving organizations in the Jewish community get systems in place so that they're ready and prepared to protect their children.
One of the things I think are really important to understand is that organizations need to understand systems, especially when dealing with children. When I have a 6-year-old, and when you're thinking about school or camp or all different things that you have no control of anymore. You're giving your child over to a caretaker, to somebody who is now responsible for your child for hours on end. So how do you actually go sort of about the process of going into the different types of organizations to teach them the appropriate ways to deal with children?
That's a great question, and I think that's a concern on every parent's mind and really every head of a youth-serving organization as well. So we really try to standardize this, not sensational and not reactionary, as preventative as possible. The same way you'd have a fire safety code in place and you wouldn't think to open your building before that's all set up, we try to do the same thing with preventing child maltreatment. And we do it from a positive perspective. So instead of coming in and saying, here are all the things you're not allowed to do, we think about what does it look like to create a nurturing, safe environment for children. And so we start with forming a child safety committee in every institution. We do policy development and training and engagement of all community members, and then regular maintenance and evaluation.
So who are you working with now? Like, what type of organizations have signed up to sort of learn about the right ways to work with children?
So on the child end, we're working with schools and camps and synagogues, working with a number of federations actually that are helping to put systems in place for their entire community. This Safeguarding Children campaign is being generously funded by the UJA-Federation of New York, and so it's for New York youth-serving organizations in the UJA catchment area, and that includes JCCs. We're also doing work with the JCCA and community centers and youth groups.
What has been some of the responses that you're getting from people? Obviously, everyone has like their own organizational type of way of dealing with, especially children. So how do you first approach a school or a camp and saying, here are some guidelines?
So we don't do that. We don't come in and we don't say here's what you have to do, precisely for that reason. So we start by learning about the culture of an institution and partnering with leadership in that institution to develop those guidelines. So we might say, here's one end, you cannot go beyond here, and here's another end, don't go beyond here. But what happens in between, what we view our role is as helping the institution understand that if you make this choice, you face this risk, and if you make this choice, you might face another risk. Because for every decision that you make, there's always a risk in one direction or another, and there are tensions to balance. And so we help the institutions hold their own values really close as they come up with guidelines to also protect children.
Where can people learn more about your program?
They can go to our website, www.jewishsacredspaces.org, and they can learn there about all the work we're doing. They can get access to training and resources, and they can sign up to be notified as soon as registration opens for the Safeguarding Children campaign.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So tell us how the Hebrew Institute got involved in hosting this event.
Well, we were trying to make better policies for ourselves to keep the kids safe in our community, and we didn't really know what to do. We were Googling, really just grasping at straws. And everywhere we looked, people kept mentioning Shira Berkovits and Sacred Spaces. So we called, we emailed, we asked for advice, and over a few months of just reaching out and getting help from Shira, we were able to partner on this campaign and to have the Hebrew Institute be one of the pilot members of the Safeguarding Children campaign.
And as we're talking to Shira, is like, one of the things as a parent is that, you want to make sure your kid is safe, and especially like in groups and all different things. There's so many different facets of safety, and a shul is made up of so many different committees and this and that. And then when you're actually taking this on, it's a process, right? Oh, yeah. It's like trying to understand, like, now we have to integrate this into, she's educating, like, what to do and what not to do. How did the shul sort of react, sort of integrating into the process?
Yeah, I mean, this definitely started because I was the head of the youth committee, and it started as a project of the youth committee. Mm-hmm. And quickly, I made it clear to everybody that this has to break out of that. And I started having meetings with the security committee, and I had meetings with the executive committee. And over conversations, people were really receptive. They appreciated the severity and the seriousness of the issue, and it's become a regular part of our synagogue. This effort is across committees, and we've got presence on the board, and they're taking it very seriously.
Yeah, integration into a shul is critical, because it's not just you saying this is important, but as the board understands, this has to be part of, like, the ABCs of how you operate. Yeah. What's your hope, I guess, for the future of this program in the shul?
Well, I'm hoping that both in our shul and also throughout Westchester County, we're going to be able to put in better practices to keep kids safe. I really view it as like inoculating for a vaccine for a virus. Everyone needs to be doing this. Everyone needs to have the best practices in place, and then we can really stamp out abuse in the community, respond to it in time, and hopefully prevent it as much as possible. So, yeah, I'm excited for the buy-in locally, and I'm excited for this campaign to roll out throughout the county and across the country.
This project is so important for the community. Tell us a little bit about how UJA got involved with the program.
So I met Shira Berkovits a couple of years ago and instantly realized what an incredible gift we had, and somebody who was brilliant, learned, and expert in so many areas, and deeply passionate and committed as her life's work to preventing child abuse. This is a topic that is of importance to the community always, right? It isn't like there are many urgent issues that come in and out of community, and yet this is something that our organizations need to be focused on all of the time. It felt critical that with all the Jewish institutions that we have, we invest in infrastructure, and we invest in strategy, and we invest in smart professionals, and ensuring that our Jewish institutions can deliver a program. But at the core, if institutions don't feel safe, and they aren't places where our children, our most precious commodity, the future, are cared for, then what have we done? And it sort of felt it was a no-brainer, really, for UJA-Federation to invest in this, and to really be to be at the starting point of investing in this new organization that had a vision for really, as I said, protecting institutions, starting at the very local level, and then branching out to New York, and then they have broad aspirations.
So tonight we saw over 70 people here from different backgrounds, different ages, who are really interested in this program. Scaling a program is important and also challenging. What do you see sort of in this ecosystem of how to scale effectively?
Great question. So New York is quite unique in this way, in that we have close to 600 synagogues, 300 or 400 day schools, several other JCCs, and other youth-serving organizations, camps, day camps, overnight camps. And so it is in fact quite daunting to think about how to bring a resource that can't just skim the surface. This isn't just about watching a one-off video. This is about intensive training and hand-holding and consulting in order to change policies, culture, systems. So what we developed with Sacred Spaces is a platform, a really robust platform with web-based resources developed by experts, both Shira and others on the team, and they've looked for experts, international experts, who are creating videos and PDFs and how-tos, and holding the hands of institutions through consulting, coaching, to elevate within 10 best practices. So it's really about starting wherever an organization is, understanding that every organization will be able to start this campaign at a different place, based on their readiness and their interest and their bandwidth. And so wherever you start for an organization, that's where that's fine, and they will get credit and will be applauded for taking a step towards safeguarding their institution. And so this was really about a long view. This isn't safeguarding an institution overnight. It's over the course of the next 5 years, 2 standards a year for institution, ensuring that the hundreds of organizations that are serving our youth in New York can over time actually be safe places.
One of the things that I took away from the talk tonight was actually how they're integrating technology into this, and also how to scale this is utilizing that technology so that you're able to future-proof the program. Was that something that you were, interested in, and saying how that technology can scale?
Very much so. So we were not only looking at the technology as a way to create, as I said, a platform, right, where these resources could live in a static way, but also because it is a forum for interaction and engagement with the institutions themselves, the professionals who work in institutions, the parents, the stakeholders, right, the constituents who care so deeply about these organizations. The transparency was really critically important to us, and also to Sacred Spaces, that organizations and stakeholders could go on there and see who else is participating in this, and proudly wave the flag to say, yes, we're in, and we're taking important steps, critical steps to protecting our children. So that's another important reason why we chose technology as a platform.
Great. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing where this goes in the future.
Thank you.